So we're going to continue with the next panel, where I'll be chatting with Guillaume Chatain from Coinbase about the TradFi path to Web3. Guillaume, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Which, are you tied up? Welcome. All right.
Thank you.
Cool. Great. I have my cheat sheet here. So let's start a little bit, on your background. So can you tell us a little bit how you got into all of these things?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much for having me first. My background is an aerospace engineer by training, and then I had like 3 different careers before arriving in the blockchain space. My first job was helicopter sales. I then, for 5 years, I then moved to do back to school, and then joined JP Morgan Private Bank, where I stayed roughly 10 years. My last role there was head of equities and equity derivatives for the Asia Pacific region. I then moved into the blockchain space in roughly 2017, where I found the space extremely interesting and wanted to become a founder and create a marketplace for structured investments that would be managed by smart contracts.
Right.
So we managed to create the first ever structured product to clear, settle, and be custodied on a public blockchain. Okay. That was in early 2018. And if you count the years, that was basically 3 years before the EIB decided to put a bond on Ethereum.
Yep.
So my timing was a little bit off, very, very early. But at least that gave me the opportunity to bounce back and find a good place at Coinbase in order to fuse my experience as a banker and an experience as a blockchain entrepreneur. So today I'm leading institutional sales for Coinbase in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Mm-hmm. And I'm also in charge of a team that are pre-sales consultants and basically are solutions architects that are working with the largest integrations. We're covering any type of clients ranging from high net worth individuals, their family offices, private banks, hedge funds, asset managers, insurance companies, corporates, and so on.
Interesting. So in terms of, these are usually traditional investors, right? You're not catering to the native crypto. So what does it look like in the journey to get to a point where they think, well, maybe I'm good enough, or it's interesting enough that I go into crypto, and how do they get there? How do they get prepared? Because retail investors are a much different animal than institutional investors and family offices and wealth managers. So how do they get to that point where they decide to get into this, and how do they go forward from there?
Yeah, how do they, at some point, like what we all want is for them to get to Web3. The framework that we're using is in threefold. The first one is crypto as an investment. The second one is crypto as a financial services infrastructure and financial products. And finally, the last one is crypto as an application, crypto which is basically going to be Web3. As Coinbase, we're a crypto native company, and obviously we're trying to play in these 3 different segments. Banks, on the other hand, have been focused mostly on the second segment, using DLT infrastructure for settlement and stuff like this. What I believe is at some point, there's going to be a convergence between what banks are doing and what we are building as Coinbase with all the infrastructure and other players in the crypto industry. And there's going to be a convergence appearing in the Web3 segment. Maybe we can take a step back and look at how it evolved, starting in 2018, for instance. So 2018, there was very small, very little infrastructure. There were no regulations. The security was not necessary here for institutionals to start investing in crypto at scale. We, at that time, as Coinbase, started to launch a digital asset custodian for institutions. And we were executing everything through an OTC desk that was probably trading a few billion, millions with an M, a month. On the banking side, there was very little appetite for everything that was crypto. You could see the emergence of a few innovation labs where everything was done on private blockchains. Names like Quorum, Hyperledger, R3 Corda. This is where we were seeing the innovation. Fast forward to 2020, very, very different. The OCC started to give guidance that were quite positive about banking plus blockchain and crypto. And we started to see an emergence of big funds, institutions coming to us trying to trade. The interesting thing is that they were not just trading like before, where it was all about like buy and sell. It was certainly making full use of the entire stack that we were offering. Buy, sell, use financing lines of credit for post-trade credit, borrow, lending, do staking, you make full use of on-chain analytics, as well as market analytics, and now also making full use of derivative solutions that we're offering. The interesting thing, and I can give a few examples, I think the interesting bucket today is hedge funds. So at this point in time, we're trading roughly with, there are like, we've seen 250 different hedge funds that are dealing with crypto at the moment. So crypto native as well as some of the macro, global macro hedge funds. We're working closely with 50% of them. And if you're taking the segment of these funds that are highly regulated, our numbers are much, much higher because we offer a qualified custodian that is regulated, best execution through multi-venue executions, and stuff like that. What I believe is this segment is just continuing to see like a lot of flow coming. The main reason is crypto now is like a real asset class on its own. It is liquid. It is supported by retail. It is also volatile, which is perfect for hedge funds for them to deploy their strategies. There are solutions like what we offer at Coinbase in terms of like giving you some access to financing and some borrow as well. So you can be financed to get some leverage. You can borrow tokens in order to go long and short.
We're even seeing full-fledged banks entering the space, borrowing money from decentralized finance protocols, which is a big change from 18, right?
Yeah, we start to see stuff like this, yeah. And the last reason why I see it's going to continue is the talent is here as well. 4 years ago, there was no talent to go and manage like strategies in the crypto space. Now you start to find a lot. And one of the reasons is one of the interesting catalysts was you remember the crypto DeFi summer of 2020.
2020, yep.
So suddenly in 2020, everybody is able to open a wallet, buy a few ETH, and start interacting with DeFi protocols. And suddenly you can borrow money, you can lend money, you can interact with market makers, well, with decentralized exchanges as an automated market maker.
Yeah.
And suddenly you see a lot of people that have been in finance for a long time, asset management, starting to trade PA, and now 2 years later, you start to see these people coming full-time into crypto. So that's interesting. The other catalyst that has been interesting for the deployment of Web3 is applications with NFTs. In the middle of last year, we started to see CFOs, including CFOs of Fortune 500 companies, calling us and telling us, like, my marketing team wants to issue these NFTs, and now I need to figure out, number one, what is gas? How do I pay for gas? How do I have a wallet for ETH? And then, like, this concept of having, like, a single wallet where you make all the executions, like, not great enough, so multi-sig wallet and all this. And we've been acting as consultants to these companies for them to just, like, start deploying their strategies.
Right.
I'm talking about, like, and not necessarily saying that they're our clients, but, like, big companies such as Adidas, Nike, Budweiser, Gucci, and so on. There's going to be more
brands
and more
really
coming.
embrace the NFT. So in that front, right, we're seeing a lot of development. There's a lot of innovation. There's a realm of possibilities that we're starting to see brands and other companies, even non-financial companies, exercise. In that experience, what are the, say, top three biggest challenges that you've seen these companies face, and how are they overcoming those? Because we know that this is a jargon-ridden space, and we try to kind of simplify things into non-jargon terms so people can understand. But these early adopters are having to go and face the jargon head on. So what are these challenges that you're seeing them face, and how they're overcoming them?
Yeah, I think it's like the important first question is like, how do I access like Web3, for instance? And maybe it's worth giving my definition of Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Web 1 was basically AOL, was Yahoo, where you just like are able to read.
Dial up, anyone? Dial up? No? Okay. All right.
So you were just basically able to connect to the internet and read. Sometimes you needed to have a password, and your password for these applications was 123 followed by the name of your dog. Web 2, slightly different. You can read, you can write as well. And the thing is, like big centralized corporations such as Meta, Google, we're taking advantage of all your data and monetizing it. Here, the way to access was also quite easy, like steal the password, a little bit more elaborate, and typically 2FA, two-factor authentication, just to make sure that nobody would access your account with your personal data. Now arrives Web 3, which becomes super interesting, which is you can read, you can write, but you can also benefit from the content that you have posted, and you can also benefit from the interaction that you have with other people in the ecosystem. And this is where we're seeing like very interesting things happening. Different primitives here. The first one, we talked about is decentralized finance. The primitives of decentralized finance are borrow and lending and decentralized exchanges. The second one is NFTs. NFTs is about art. It's about managing collectives and groups and communities, and also giving incentives in games, for instance. Yep. So that is becoming interesting, and now the question is like, how people can access all this in a very secure manner. The way you access these and interact with the different protocols is by having a wallet. Now, a wallet is an interesting piece of technology, but it's also the problem that you have is you're in control of a passphrase. If you lose this passphrase, your money, your assets, your life is gone. Your life online, sorry.
Your identity, yeah.
If someone gets access to it, everything is gone as well. So it's really unforgiving. And our role at Coinbase is really working with clients, understand how this works, and really help them define like the best infrastructure, give them the best wallet so that they can interact with all these protocols very safely and without the risk of losing all their data or funds.
Got it. So I want to maybe go a little bit more into that, because right now this is the device to access Web3 in general. But as you said, the UX is maybe not there. So what do we have to do collectively as an industry, right? We have a number of fintechs and banks in the audience, and other tech providers. What we as an industry, what should we do to actually accelerate that rate of adoption? Because we know that like 1 year in crypto is 7 years in life. How do we make that double? How do we actually go and actually reach into the non-initiated in ways that they can understand and actually benefit from what we're building?
Yeah, there are, I think, two ends of the spectrum. One is what we're doing at Coinbase and like our other competitors in the blockchain space, while in the crypto space, which is working on the infrastructure and all the rails that make crypto, NFTs, and so on, like work properly and safely. The other end of the spectrum is what I'm seeing, like big institutions, because we need institutional adoption to get there. And I'm talking particularly about banks who have their tokenization projects. When I'm seeing that companies like JP Morgan and BlackRock have partnered together to tokenize money market funds, I'm thinking that's amazing. But what is the next step? And the next step to me is like how these tokenized financial instruments are used in the DeFi space, so that we can just like use it as collateral, borrow against it, and all in an automated fashion. That will, in the end, like be great for everybody. And I thought there was a title about like increasing velocity of money. I think this kind of convergence is going to help like increase velocity of money ultimately.
Yeah, and one aspect of this new infrastructure that we are now able to access is that we can stream money in ways that in the traditional finance space we're not exactly able to. And one thing you just mentioned is that combining that capability with the ability to compose on top of whatever other token or tokenized asset we might have on chain will probably breed different dynamics where maybe a collateral can self-pay a loan. And if you're staking that as a collateral, you don't need to worry about filling out the installments, because then the collateral is built in such a way that you can actually repay the loan while holding the collateral, which is, in terms of finance efficiency and timeliness, in terms of market efficiency, it will be remarkable. So for the stuff that you can share with us as in terms of further development, how is Coinbase preparing to actually provide that infrastructure? What have you seen that is really mind-blowing that you can share with the audience that is coming forward in the next maybe 6, 12, 18 months, that this is going to be one of those pieces of infrastructure that we're going to be really proud of?
Yeah, everything that I'm going to share is public information. We're a listed company, so and I used to work in finance as well, so I know these rules. But yeah, there are many ways in which we're really helping I would say the entire community and like helping bring people into Web3. Our objective at Coinbase has always been like we want to be the most trusted brand and create the easiest to use product. And I think you can see it in the Coinbase retail app, which is like very easy to use and very straightforward. The other thing that we're trying to do is to build a bridge. We have been building a bridge like from the start, which was like, how do we bridge people coming from fiat into cryptocurrencies? And we've done a great job at this. Now the ambition that we have is to build a much bigger and wider bridge. And this one is like, how do we bring the 1 billion users in Web3? A few ways to do that, and I can tell you a little bit about the building blocks. The first one is you need a wallet to access Web3. So we've been spending a lot of efforts into the Coinbase wallet, which is multi-chain wallet, which is like very easy to use. And personally, I found that a year ago we were way behind equivalent of like MetaMask and a few others. But today our wallet is way above the rest, and it's actually the most downloaded wallet on the planet at the moment. The second thing that we're doing is we recognize that not everybody should be a self-custodian. Because as I said, like having your keys and managing them on your own can be dangerous. So what we've done is use MPC technology to create within the retail app a wallet that can be accessed directly there. So retail users are like, they basically completely abstract the risk of creating a wallet and having your own passphrase. People don't even know that what is behind. So we've done that with retail, very good success so far, and we're about to launch the same for institutional investors. Right. So imagine a hedge fund who wants to interact with DeFi protocols. How did they do it today? You start downloading like a few MetaMask wallets or Coinbase wallets. You start downloading like a Gnosis safe.
A multi-sig.
You're using like a few ledgers or equivalent to just like sign all transactions. It is cumbersome, it is complicated, and you're always at the risk of someone losing like some of the hardware.
Yeah, there's many things that could go wrong in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how we're doing the job from a tech stack point of view. There's also something that is important is we realize that banks, institutions, financial institutions don't want to interact with people who have not been KYC'd. So through the Coinbase exchange and through the high governance that we have, like we're onboarding a lot of people, and hopefully we can be the regulated gateway to DeFi. There are two other ways we're supporting, I would say, DeFi and Web3. The first one is on the developer side. We have a part of the group that we're calling Coinbase Cloud, which is basically supporting developers and builders and giving them all the infrastructure, read-write nodes infrastructure, Coinbase Pay, which is like on and off-ramp SDKs, stuff like that, so that they can develop on top of our infrastructure and build their own product. And the last one is we're helping funds who want to access DeFi for the returns that they generate, but are not able themselves to comprehend the risk that you have with like protocol risk and stuff like that. So they're happy to have like market risk. They're happy to take impermanent losses risk, for instance, but protocol risk is something that they don't want to do. So we're executing transactions on their behalf and abstracting the risk that they don't want.
Yeah, that makes for a great kind of onboarding point until further capability develops in the rest of the market. So that's a way of accelerating. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience through the Slido. Now that I know where to look at. No? Okay, so Guillaume, any parting words? We're about to wrap up. So anything else I think you would encourage our audience to actually go and do the research on?
I would encourage anyone who hasn't a wallet yet, download a wallet. Like, doesn't have to be a Coinbase one, any wallet. Put some ETH in there and go play with different protocols. Go to Aave, go to Compound, go to Uniswap, try to be an automated market, like to provide liquidity to as a market maker there. The great thing about DeFi and crypto is you can just learn by doing, and everybody has access to it. That's amazing.
Got it. So everyone here has a homework to do. Awesome. All right, Guillaume, thank you so much. We're going to wrap up and pass to the next panel. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.